G'day friends, welcome to today's YouTube video, squeaky chair. This is going to be chatty and long and emotional, so please prepare yourself for that. I'm going to cut to the chase and then work through all the information from top to bottom. I've always felt like, people can deal with the truth even if it's difficult, and it's better for you to have all this truth in times of change and in times of feeling overwhelmed about the change. It's best to have as much information as you can have to hold on to and to digest. So I'm going to be trying to be as transparent as I can be throughout all of this and as candid as I can be, but I do feel very vulnerable and emotional. So I'm going to put that out up front. This is just going to be a lot. So, and there's a lot of things I also need you to do as well. So I think we'll just cut to the chase and rip the band-aid off. jlbCREATIVE will be closing. My business is ending, and I don't know if there's a right way to say that. My business is ending. I'm closing this chapter. I'm closing this chapter of my life, this past 10 years. What was just a little Etsy store to make some side money so I could buy some new art supplies, that turned into my whole life and my business and my career and my opportunity to share, and such a crazy adventure that we've been having for the past decade. I'm ready to put a little bow on all of that and just set it off to the side and start a new chapter in my life. Ironically, it is the chapter that I was on before jlbCREATIVE started, and if you've been with me for a long time, I don't think this will be completely shocking to you. But I will be leaving in September to rejoin Disney Cruise Line and go back to performing on the cruise ships. And that is a big change. It's a big change. I also want to acknowledge that I've said before, one day I'll just do both. I have thought so long and hard about this, and it's just not right for me to do both. I had that year, I think it was last year, where I had this thought about the quality of my life. And, I've been thinking about it for many, many years, but the quality of life is the thing that I think about when I make decisions. What kind of a day do I want to have? Do I want to wake up and be stressed about where I'm going to find my food? Or am I going to be stressed about, obviously no, people don't want those things, but I also wanted to know, how far did I push it? Do I want to wake up and be served breakfast in bed on a silver platter? No, that's also not my desire. And it really made me think about the things that would make me happy and what I really need to feel good and okay. And I identified a bunch of those things as, I love to have my passions and my hobbies. So I want passions and hobbies to feel excited about and to have some time to do. Time to do them is important. I wanted to pay my bills. I hate feeling financially stressed, and I wanted to pay my bills and clear them. I don't want to have stress about the bills. I think that's a thing a lot of people can relate to, and it's difficult. At this point, it is difficult. I also wanted to perform. I wanted to dance. I wanted to be amongst dance, and that kind of creativity that fuels me that way. I love the visual arts, but the performance arts are also something that I've just always had them. I've never not had them. And, this whole journey has been kind of wild, but that's what I wanted. And I want to see my family often. And the thing that I couldn't get out of my head was that I had all of that before I came to the States and before my accident. That was what my life was. And when I thought about is that going to make me happy? For 7 years, that made me incredibly happy. I don't even think I had a care in the world, to be honest. And that is such a blessing. And I honestly started to think, maybe you just don't get that all the time. Maybe that's just not accessible to everyone. Or maybe you just get it once in your life, and I already had it. Sorry, I'm already starting to feel like allergy-ish. Maybe you just get it once in your life, or I never thought I could expect it, but I thought the choices I make moving forward will lead to that. The things that I do, the motivation that I have is for this great quality of life. And even if I don't have all of those things, I can be happy in the pursuit of those things. And I've really tried to focus on that, because I think that's just like a healthy way to live, for me anyway. However, things have been very difficult. The world is more expensive. Everything you encounter is more expensive. It's, you make a step forward, you get a little raise at work, but then your hours get cut. So is the raise even a raise, or are you just making the same or less money? You have some success over here, and then suddenly your rent is going up again because it just goes up every year. For whatever reason, it goes up every year. And then, I feel like every time I would take a step forward, I was also taking a couple of steps back. And the thing that really overwhelms me as well is just the thought that I haven't seen my family in so long, like so long. And I used to see them every 6 to 9 months, 9 months-ish, like since I was a teenager. And even that feels like a long time, right? But I just feel like when I was on contracts, there was always this promise of going back to see my family in between the contracts. So it just felt like the logical thing to do was to at least make an attempt at reopening those doors from before my accident, and to see if I could get that opportunity back. You never know. I think I've shared enough of my story with auditions and everything. You never know what's going to work out. You could have done the same job for 6 years and then all of a sudden just not be qualified for it anymore. Like, it's truly a mystery how all of this works. But recently I was reconnected to that opportunity, and I took it. And it felt like, for the first time since my accident, that all of this pressure that I have felt to fix that situation has just like lifted off my shoulders. And obviously that change comes with a lot of change. So I want to talk to you about the whole process. I think first and foremost, I want to set you up with some expectations about the things that are going to change moving forward, since this will be the end of this chapter of my life. I do plan on letting jlbCREATIVE live in this part of my life in the past. So moving forward, I will no longer be making weekly videos on YouTube. I'm not getting rid of my YouTube. Everything that's up here can stay for as long as YouTube wants to host it, but I won't be getting rid of it. I just won't be making weekly videos anymore. I still plan on sharing. I may want to share a vlog when I get to the ship, or maybe I go and do some journaling, I don't know, in my spare time, and I take a video and I just want to share that with you. Or maybe I just flip a journal every now and again. I just want to share that with you. So however that looks moving forward, there's just no expectation that I will be being here every Friday like people have been used to. My apologies for that. If that is something that you looked forward to in your week, it is going to stop from here moving forward. And my focus right now is to make this last workshop, Virtual Voyage 10, starts June 23. I'm going to make this just the best thing that I can do. Throw all of my energy into this. It's kind of fateful, I think, that the theme is decade. I had picked that before any of this happened, and I knew this is what I wanted to do. I had this feeling like I just need to, it's kind of fate the way that this all plays out. So I'll talk more about that. But for now, I will be focusing on Virtual Voyage 10, and that will be our last workshop together. Can you ever say ever? I'm not quite sure. Who knows? But that is my plan, that this will be the final one. And Teachable will also be closing. So all of the workshops that are hosted on there, including Collage Club, will no longer be accessible after, let's just say, October. Technically, it's November, because my subscription will end in November. And I did want to host on Teachable. I wanted to keep all of my classrooms still active. However, Teachable have decided to, again, raise their prices. Originally, and this is all the context I want to give you so that you can really chew on the information. I've really thought about everything. Trust, it's been a lot. It's been so much to go through in the past couple of weeks. But the original price of the subscription for a year, I think, was maybe $300 or $400. years ago, like pre-COVID times. And then a couple of years ago, they raised it to about $1,200 or $1,400 a year. And mind you, I was still using none of those extra features. So they upgraded, good for them. It was so much money, it like quadrupled in price. And then again, they decided to raise it again. I'm not using any of the new features. My plan would have been exactly the same. I didn't even want to add any new courses. I just wanted to host the ones that I had. And now it's over $3,000 for the year. So that's just not an overhead I'm comfortable paying, considering I won't be using the site the way that I've been using it. So I do need you to download all of your workshops from there. Everything should be downloadable. If you find there's a video link that's not working or something, let me know. DM me is probably the quickest way on Instagram, and I'll just get that sorted for you. But please download all of that. I'm gonna say by August. September would be great. October at the latest. If you're emailing me in November, to be honest, if you're emailing me after September, I probably won't be responding to it. So, and that's not for any other reason than I'll just be I'll be in a different country doing completely different things. So please do all of that as soon as you possibly can, if you would like to keep access to it. If you did your workshop, you're like, you know what, that's fine, I'll probably never revisit it. It's completely your choice. But if you would like to access it afterwards, it is something that you purchased. You do have access to download it. You'll just have to, I don't know, download it to your computer or put a hard drive in or something. That would be your responsibility to make sure that you grab those. Possibly in the future, like if I ever wanted to rehost them, I just wouldn't do it on Teachable. It's just way too expensive. So I'll keep all my stuff. Like I'm not deleting all my hard drives and chucking them in the river. But yeah, I would just say if that's something that you're interested in, I would start that process now of downloading that content for yourself. And then Etsy, I will keep open just to store all of my Collage Club files on there. They're still accessible. We've kind of been doing that anyway, but Etsy will just be available for those digital products, just Collage Club. All of the physical products in Etsy, since I won't be around to ship anything anymore, I am looking to clear all of those out. So probably later in the summer, I'll be doing a big closing clearance, get rid of everything sale and like priced to clear. Not like the Joanne's liquidation that is not priced to clear. I'm gonna try and get rid of everything. So if you're thinking about purchasing something, maybe wait until I announce that. But there'll be some big clearance of everything. And then I'll keep Etsy for Collage Club sheets that will just be available for purchase. Just a passive income stream. I don't really plan on updating it or dealing with any of it, to be honest. I probably won't check it. So if it closed itself because, I don't know, there was too many customer complaints, I probably wouldn't even know about it. When I say I'm really closing the business part of this is, I'm not going to be thinking about it. None of the business, like this will not be a thought in my brain come September. And I'm so excited to return to just being the person that shares about it passionately, like I was years ago when I was in those Facebook groups, getting in all sorts of trouble. I'll just be like you. We'll just be sharing it together online. But I do know that it feels daunting that it all comes to an end and that it all closes. And I do feel bad that I just won't be around as much anymore. And I do feel like this is one of those things where people say, like, sometimes you just got to be selfish. Sometimes you just got to, make the decision for yourself. But it doesn't feel good. Like, I feel like it is the right thing for me to do. And of course it does feel good for me. But I do not take lightly that over the past decade, we have formed parasocial relationships. And then in a lot of cases, I've met a lot of you in real life as well. And so we do know each other. And I feel like that familiarity and that idea that, you have to experience this change, I do feel bad about that. So I am sorry if this change is something that brings you discomfort. Oliver's stomach is going crazy. Are you right? He's asleep, but his stomach is growling. Now I feel bad because he was whinging for food earlier, but Steve feeds him all, he's fine. That's fake. Maybe he's just putting it on. Oh, okay. No cat deflection. I do feel for you. So because I know what I would feel like if I had gotten used to a creator being around and all of a sudden they were just gone. I do actually know what that feels like. I used to follow a lot of people that ended up on Patreon, and I felt like I just lost access to them, albeit they were still around, they're still doing it, it's just behind a paywall. But I've always just kind of considered, you know, how would I be reacting to me if I was a follower of me? And this news is not fun for a lot of people, so my apologies for that. And I don't know if condolences is the right word, but I do empathize. So you can be mad at me if you would like to be, and you can write all kinds of stuff in the comments. I won't delete it. You can please just have it out with me. The Teachable will be closing, so please download those. The Etsy will be clearing out, except for digital products. YouTube will remain. I'll share on YouTube, you know, whenever I feel like it. Instagram will remain. I'll share on Instagram whenever I feel like it. I do have a personal Instagram that I do dance stuff on, which I might be more active on since I'll just be living my personal life mostly. But I think that's pretty much it. Virtual Voyage 10 will be our final workshop. I'm going to pour everything into that, everything I've got left. And it's already been kind of bittersweet because I've been going, it starts back in 2015, and it was a lot to even revisit. And I've been working on this for longer than I've known that this is all happening. So the first chunk of this course, I'd kind of relived a lot of this experience. And I think I'm just going to talk about the personal stuff now. Now that the other stuff's out of the way, I'd relived a lot of the experience, putting it together for the infographics and like talking about my accident and reliving, you know, part to part, and like how all this developed and how I made all those decisions. And I'm writing about it, and it was a lot to relive because I don't know if I've said this already, but in my mind, this is all I've been thinking about for so long. I just felt like when I had that accident, everything changed. I felt like there was this pressure just like sitting on my shoulders this entire time. And I just thought the accident was a pause button. I thought one day I'll just press play and everything will resume. And my little Etsy business became like the only thing that I had when I came to the States, and I couldn't book a dance job, and I was like, oh no, I have to figure all this out. And you know, then it became my primary focus. I was doing anything I could to kind of make the success of this happen. I really just blindly followed what everyone else was doing. I thought if, you know, they're doing art journaling and they can pay their bills, I can do art journaling and pay my bills. You know, sometimes behind the scenes, I forgot that like people were married and maybe their spouse was paying some of the bills. So I think I was really delusional in the beginning to think it would even work, but I do function with a healthy level of delusion and delusional confidence. So it did work out for me, thank goodness. Very early days, I thought if I could piggyback off the success of somebody else, like Jane Davenport, you know, I applied for her design team. I thought I would just have access to her audience and maybe I could build the same type of success that she has built. And actually, to be honest, in those early days, I thought that I could get a job working for Jane. I thought like, yeah, I'll just demo for her products, or I don't know, she'll pay me to do work or something. I could freelance as like a ghost artist or something, because I thought that's what you do, right? I don't know, people do that. That all ended weirdly, but you know, I've also just felt like from that point on, I didn't really have anything else. I mean, I'm not trained to do anything else. I didn't go to university. And so I made some products, and then products was the thing that I was kind of selling. And then I thought, Mindy Lacefield had invited me to guest teach for a hot second. And I was like, oh, maybe I could guest teach. That would be a way. And I was just doing bits and pieces everywhere and just didn't know what was going on. I think I just, you know, like George of the Jungle, Tarzan, he just like swings from vine to vine, and I would just blindly reach out, grab a vine and start swinging. And it worked out. I mean, I won't say it didn't. It was incredibly stressful. Like it was, you know, I think the whole time I just felt like, okay, well, I did it, you know, 2017 is done, like now 2018, I'll go back to dancing now, it's fine, like we can stop playing around. Then 2018 would go, and I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe 2019 is the year. And then I made that video in 2020, and I was like, I can just see it, 2020 is the year I go back to dancing, and it just wasn't. It was not. It was so crazy. Ironically, I had the most success I've ever really had, you know, during the pandemic and afterwards. I didn't have unemployment here, so I had to keep working. and Steve was accessible to me, so I got him to start helping with my business a little bit. You know, a lot of people had time, a lot of people were getting stimulus checks, and people were spending time in their hobbies. You know, it was some really good couple of years. I started doing Virtual Voyage, we started doing these live workshops, I did live streams. I felt like I got a lot more connected to a lot more people over that period. And then I really started turning my attention to teaching at that point. I thought, you know, I had all these other facets of the business that would run. You know, the YouTube was kind of the sharing space where I could have an audience and I could connect with people and then essentially show people what I liked to do. And if I liked to do it with these stamps, and they could buy them from my store, or if they wanted to know more, they could go and learn more in a workshop. Or if someone looked at it and they thought, oh, that's good, they could hire me to do it, like Art Snacks did for years on Box Freestyle. It was all an ecosystem of a lot of things. And you have been around for a lot of that, most of you, and then a lot of you have also experienced a lot of that ecosystem. And I think if I could, you know, very respectfully say how that felt, it felt insane. It felt like I never knew what was coming next, and it felt like everything could fall apart always. I think this is common with people that run a business. I feel like I could never rely on anything to work out the way I thought it would, that it was all just dumb luck. It felt like, you know, effort wasn't necessarily equal to reward. I felt like some of the things I spent so much time and energy and money on really resulted in nothing. And then other things that I barely thought about was, you know, an opportunity I'd never seen coming. And it became a lot to manage, just for the pure fact that it took so much time to do it all. You know, it's one thing just to do YouTube videos every week. Like, that takes a certain amount of time and energy. Considering that it was that plus the products, and then I would ship them out, and then I would be creating a workshop, and I'd be guest teaching over here, and then I'd be dancing in real life over there, and like, I just had no time anymore. I have less than time. Like, there are things that started to struggle as a result, and there's things that, I mean, you wouldn't see, but like my house, like, it just would get so dirty and like so in rack and ruin. My desk is completely covered in stuff right now. I just didn't have time to clean up. My laundry would go for like 2 weeks. Thank goodness I have enough undies for 2 weeks, but it would go for weeks. I got more than that, but it would go for weeks, and I would just get so overwhelmed with life stuff. It was hard to even go grocery shopping or even prepare meals, because instead of preparing meals, I'd need that time to work on other stuff that I needed to get done because there's a deadline. And it's just, you know, the demands of doing this as a job were more than I was ever used to ever in anything else. And I didn't love it. I don't think anyone loves feeling so overworked. It was a great distraction in some of my unhealthier periods. I was very, very depressed about the loss of my career, especially through those first few years. I found it really hard to adjust living in the States. I found it really hard to be married. I found just the shock of being in this new life. I felt like I had chosen a life for myself that was so much harder than what I was used to, and I felt like I was struggling with it. I felt like I couldn't really get above it, and then I felt guilty about wanting to return. You know, the more time I spent investing in this business and this community that created itself, and these people that I would chat to and that would help me, I don't want to get upset. I felt like I relied on so much of the support of this community for so many of my really, really bad times. Then I felt super guilty for wanting to leave. But it just always felt like, this very temporary thing just accidentally became permanent. And I had never intended to choose it. I had never set out to do any of it. It all just kind of happened. And as grateful as I am that I was able to, you know, successfully run this business for 10 years, I just need to let it go. I need to heal that part of myself from before that I just feel like never really got healed. And I had accepted it for so long, like I've accepted for so long that that happened, and you know, I could make a joke about it. I'm healed enough to be able to, you know, work on the PTSD. Like, that was its own terrible journey. But I couldn't shake that I didn't finish that contract, and I couldn't shake that, like, I just lost all of my career. Like, I lost everything I loved. I lost traveling, I lost dancing, I lost this like simple life out on the ocean in the sun. I lost seeing my family every so often in between contracts, like just this thing that I was used to and that I loved, and this carefree life that I didn't want to let go of. And I thought, like, maybe it's just naive to think that I could have that back, or maybe that was just something you get once in life and I didn't need to have it again, or I didn't deserve to have it again. I don't even know what I thought half the time. It was too hard for me to deal with, and it just felt like this pressure. So I feel like I should share scars, not open wounds. I also want to share how candidly I feel about all of this. I never really felt super healed from that. There was only, I think I could get to a point. And I just didn't know where to go beyond that. It was just like acceptance, but it's just something I couldn't accept. So, because I honestly didn't think it was finished. Like, I didn't think that I couldn't do that again, and that I couldn't have that again. So anyway, fast forward to now. For the past few months, I mean, also very realistically, my business has been in a steady state of decline. I say that I've done this successfully over 10 years, but realistically, you know, the world has shifted. Inflation is crazy, and recession and blah, 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 all those fun topics. My business has been in a steady state of decline for a while. And, you know, what was just some side fun dancing, you know, at some theme parks, actually was now something I need to do to pay my bills. And that also doesn't really cut it. Like, I really needed to be careful about how I was moving forward, because even though I felt like these are things I wanted to do, you know, what you want to do is not necessarily what you're gonna do when you have bills. So it was getting a little bit worrisome. I think I got to a point earlier this year where I thought, you know, I'll do my virtual voyage. I was planning on doing something big because I always wanted to plus what I've been doing before. And I realized that it was the 10th one, and I just thought, I can't see beyond that. I can't see myself getting to like virtual voyage 15. And I had joked in the past that I have ideas for 1 million of them. I have themes for 25 more. For some reason, I just couldn't get past, like, I don't think I'm going to go beyond virtual voyage 10. And when I thought, oh, this has been 10 years since my accident, this has been 10 years since I found art journaling, it just kind of clicked in my head, like, well, obviously I've got to do that. Like, I've got to do the past 10 years. So I called it decade, and I just thought, that's what I'm going to do. I think I'll be fine with that theme. I'll think about it later. So I kind of chose, and then I just left it for a bit. I was doing that Daisy style workshop. It did not work out. I had so many issues with it. I ended up abandoning it. And that was really difficult, because I think at that point I was like, I'm already struggling. Like, I'm already not, I need to be creating these workshops. It's not even just I'll do it if it's fun. Like, this is a part of business, and now I'm failing at that. And so that was a little bit of a bitter pill to swallow. You know, I'm performing, I'm loving that, but even then, like, it's just kind of all over the place. Like, I do this show for like 12 weeks, and this show for 4 weeks, and this show for this week. I'm just not used to working like that. Every time I was a dancer before, it'd be a contract for 9 months, and then a break, and then a contract for 9 months, and then a break. You know, working part-time as a dancer just was really not hitting the same way. As much as I loved it, it was too much of a jump back and forth, and I ended up having to take a lot of my work from here to there. And I still currently do that, and it felt like it all bled into each other in a weird way. I would oftentimes get home and be too tired to actually do anything, or even like I'd have a lot of adrenaline in my body and my hand would be too shaky to draw. Like, it was all getting weird. I don't even know how to describe it, other than I felt at the start of this year like something was just feeling different. I had that whole Lady Gaga experience. And I think something clicked in me then that I just thought, this is so not over for me. For whatever I've been made to feel, like too fat, too old, too ugly, too whatever, I'm just gonna, I believe that there's something else out there for me. I'm just gonna go get it. So I kind of set a lot of my motivation to that. And then also very practically reminded myself every day that I have to come and do this jlbCREATIVE stuff. But I just was so like side focused on going after these opportunities. And it didn't all work out. I mean, there were a lot of other things that I was trying to go for that just did not work out. And, you know, I was still very much in this place of like, is this the right thing to do? I don't know. And then I started working on Virtual Voyage 10 and I started doing the decade and I was going back and reading through it all and making all this stuff. And I was just like, oh, I don't know where I go from here. I can't see a way forward. I don't know what would happen after this. I thought there's options. Sure. Like, do I do another Halo workshop like I did last year? And I was like, I can't even see myself doing that. I physically could not imagine going beyond Virtual Voyage 10. And this is the first time that's ever happened. I've always thought, even to like, well, I'll do Merry Mixed Media, I've got this, I've got that, nothing. There was nothing in my brain, not even a slight hint of what any of that would look like, no ideas, no nothing. And I have never felt like that before. So it got me very stressed. I started working on it blindly because I was like, well, the ideas will come. Like I've always said that. I mean, they will come eventually, but just this felt so different. This felt so weird. So I started working on it and then, you know, kind of told everyone what I was planning and what I was doing. And then before I had launched it, this opportunity came up. And originally there was a conversation about this opportunity starting in June. And I thought, oh, that is way too soon. Like, I don't even know if I could do that. But of course I was like, I'm ready to say yes to it. Just whatever needs to happen, needs to happen. And so I held off on actually fully committing to opening the registration because it was in flux. Like I really didn't know what was going to happen when. And from the first conversation I had about this opportunity, I think 6 days later, I had this offer to start in September. And I thought, okay, first of all, that's doable. Second of all, this all makes so much sense now. This is why I can't see beyond this, because this is actually the last thing. I will say, you know, there was no hesitation about me accepting that offer. It was an immediate yes from my heart and then also from my mouth. I've always wondered what it would feel like if I could get back to this point where I was truly actually faced with the idea of letting go of my business and jlbCREATIVE. And I thought I would struggle with it a lot more. But it was almost like the few months before this had been preparing me for this change. And I don't know if you're someone that believes in fate or destiny or whatever, but, you know, 10 years ago, I was on, they call them contracts by numbers. So if like the 7th cast on the ship, you would be like Fantasy 7. So I was on F7, and this next cast that I'm going into is the cast number 8 of that ship. So a decade later, and it's almost to the month that my accident happened. It's like I had a full decade on pause, and then I'm pressing play and then stepping into the next one. And that just feels crazy. But it feels so, I don't know, ironic. It also feels ironic that I'm ending all of this with a live workshop in a cruise ship theme, just to leave and go on a cruise ship. Like, I know that sounds crazy, and it probably sounds really insensitive too. Obviously, you know, we've been doing this theme for years now because I've always loved it. I've always loved cruise ships, even when I wasn't working on them, when I was just sailing on them as a kid. So, you know, there are no surprises here, I don't think. I do want to acknowledge that I know I've said a million times that one day if it happens, we'll figure it out and I'll just try and do both. But to respect what I already know is about to happen, I don't want to take you along that journey and disappoint you the entire time. I think one of the things that I really struggled with as a viewer of a lot of content creators was being set up to expect things that would just not come. Even worse when I paid for them. But being told like, hey, this video is coming, or I'm gonna do a series on this, and then it would just never come. And I'm excited, I'm waiting for it. I wanna see what you're gonna do. I wanna see that series. I wanna blah, blah, blah. And managing expectations is a lot of what I talk about in workshops, but I think it's so true in life as well. You know, your experience is fully subjective, and a lot of the time our perspective can shift how we experience a lot of things. So when you set yourself up to expect not a lot, you end up enjoying a lot, because a lot of it is just more than you expected. But if you're someone that has high expectations, you probably experience a lot more disappointment. You know, such is life. So I've kind of trained myself to expect not much at all. But if I can help it, I don't want to set you up for it. I definitely don't want you to think that I was going to make a ton of effort to keep Collage Club going, you know, through till the end of the year, because I'm not. I already know I'm not going to do that. It's in my head, I know how long that takes. I know how much work that would be, and that time would have to be sacrificed from somewhere else, and I'm not willing to sacrifice it from Virtual Voyage 10, because I do believe that that is more important for me to do at this point. And I'm kind of creating this hierarchy of importance and just working from that and trying to do my best to make sure that we end all of this as intentionally as, you know, I've moved through it. In the beginning, it was all very up in the air, but once I felt a sense of responsibility to the business and to the community that I was being a part of, I've always made sure that, you know, these things were aligned with what I thought was the right thing to do. And so I hope, as difficult as this news might be and the change might feel, I hope you feel that I hope you feel respected in all of it and valued and appreciated. I have to save this for the end because I do know I'm going to get choked up. I am so thankful for everything that you have done here. Instagram, Etsy, Teachable, wherever I find you, wherever I've interacted with you. You know, it's cliche to say that it doesn't happen without you, but it truly doesn't. If there was no one watching, I would have, you know, this would never have happened. And beyond that, not just being a part of the art journaling, I have always felt such a strong sense of support for my life from you all. And I know these are parasocial relationships, and I know it's really hard to imagine exactly who might be watching at this present moment, but I have met a lot of you, and I have encountered a lot of you over many years, and it has always felt very real to me. And that's why sometimes difficult things can feel even more difficult, because you want to tell yourself, it's just a screen, turn it off. Like, it's just a keyboard, don't press the buttons, and then it all goes away. But it does feel very real. Parasocial relationships are just a product of this century, and it's crazy. But I have gotten so much support and pulled so much strength from you as a community through some of the worst times I've ever had. And I've never told you about half of them, because I didn't want this to be a place where we discussed our open wounds and we just commiserated together. I wanted to just enjoy my time sharing with you here. And I wanted you to feel like you had a space where you could share and you could enjoy it too, and that all the other worries were just gone for a second. And it's been so difficult and so hard, and you have been so gracious and so supportive, and I don't even know why half the time. Like, sometimes I just think, if we're just perfect strangers, why would you even care? Like, why would you care that I felt bad about something? And it is because you're such nice people. And you have very big hearts, and you have been the best part of this journey. And I will miss being with you often. Thank you so much for just, thank you. I don't know what else to say beyond that. I'm very, very thankful for you. And I am very happy with everything we've done in the 10 years. And I'm really excited to move to the next chapter. And I'm just hoping we can wrap it all up really nicely. Kind of go out with a bang in this summer. So I will see you where I see you next, wherever that might be. If you're going to join us for our workshop, I'll see you there. If you're going to stay around on YouTube, I'll see you whenever I upload the next video. On Instagram for that Etsy sale that'll come at some point. I'll see you around. And yeah, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful part of this experience.